या देवी स्तूयते नित्यं विबुधैर्वेदपारगैः सा मे वसतु जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती। नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायणनामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायणतत्त्वमव्ययम्. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayappan, Guru Mahapiriyava and Guru Parampara, we are now on Dasakam 9, verse number 6. We completed verse number 5 in the last session, where it was mentioned that after tapas, Brahma did after the meditation samadhi for 100 divine years, and after the samadhi he got a inner vision of the Lord reclining on the part of a body of Adisesha, which was a most ascharya, wonderful vision which he had never seen before. This is how we concluded in verse number 5. Now we are moving on to the verse number 6. Kiritamakutolasat katakahara keyurayung manispurita mekalam suparivita pitambaram kalaya kusumaprabham galatalolasat kaustubam vapustadai bhavaye kamala janmane darshitam. I, O Lord, Kirita Makutolasat, shining with a crown and a diadem, Kataka Haraka Keyuraka. Kataka means with bracelets worn in the hand, pearl necklaces, Haraka, Keyura means shoulder ornaments, Manis Purita Mekalam, with a girdle resplendent with gems, Suparivita Pitambaram, with a beautifully worn yellow silk cloth, Kalaya Kusuma Prabham, with the brilliance of a Kalaya, that means a blue lily flower, Galatalol Lasat Kaustubam, with the Kaustuba jewel shining around the neck, Kamala Janmane Darshitam Tad Bapuhu, that form which was shown to Brahma, Bhavaye, I meditate on. O Lord, I meditate on that divine form of thine, shining with a crown, a diadem, bracelets, pearl necklaces, shoulder ornaments, and a girdle resplendent with gems, wearing beautifully the pitambara, which is the yellow silk ornaments, with the brilliance of a blue lily flower, and resplendent with the Kaustuba jewel around the neck, which form was shown to Brahma. So this is the continuation of the divine vision, inner vision which Brahma had, which Brahma got from Bhagavan. Here this verse starts with Bhattatiripad himself addressing the Lord, said, I am meditating on this divine form, which shows the intense bhakti of the Bhattatiripad in terms of an ecstasy of also, in terms of that how much happy he was and he wanted to have a vision of the Lord himself, and therefore he also did the meditation. That's how it starts here. And that form is being described in this here. I meditate on your form, it looks also the Saguna Rupa Ishvara, with various kinds of ornaments worn around. So he says that in this it was described, the Lord was sitting on a crown, he was having the bracelets, pearl necklaces, shoulder ornaments, and gems around the waist, wearing the pitambara, and the body itself has the brilliance of a blue lily flower. The blue lily flower means the dark greyish blue luster of the body. That is called as the Kalaya. Kalaya means the blue lily flower. It's described here. And with the Kaustuba jewel around the neck. It can be noted here that this verse also is a repetition of the verse number 7 and 8, in the previous Dasaka it was shown also in the earlier when the abode of Vaikuntha was shown to the Lord. There is a description of the Lord made here, and part of the description is also reproduced here. Both the Nirakara and Nirguna and Sakara Saguna Rupa of Ishvara both indicates the intensity of the Brahma's sadhana for 1000 years, and thereafter he is getting the blessings from Lord in this form. All these forms invoke the attributes of the Lord also, the glory of the Lord also. So this Dvaita form, dualistic form, is required for the purpose of knowledge of this form also is required for the purpose of creation. Hence the description is given in detail in this verse number 6. Now we'll move on to the verse number 7. Shruti prakaradarshita prachura vaibhava shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Trukanavartitaha Swaguna Bhamhima Pahimam Shruti Prakaradarshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurushva Dhiyamashu Me Bhuvana Nirmitau Karmatam Iti Druhina Varnitaha Swaguna Bhamhima Pahimam. Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava. Prakara means collection, that's what it means. Whose abundant glory has been described in numerous Vedic texts. Shripate, O consort of Lakshmi. Hare, O remover of all sorrows. Jaya Jaya, hail unto thee, victory unto thee. Prabho, O all-powerful Lord. Dishtya, by my good fortune. Drishoho padam upaishi, thou hast appeared before my eyes. Ashu, soon. Me dhiyam, my intellect. Bhuvana nirmidau, for the creation of the worlds. Karmatam, capable. Kurushva, make. Iti, thus. Duhina varnita swaguna bhamhima, possessed of innumerable excellences which were sung by Brahma. Druhinaha means Brahma, Bhamhima means abundance. Mam pahi, protect me. O consort of Lakshmi, whose abundant glory has been described in numerous Vedic texts. O remover of all sorrows, hail unto thee, O all-powerful Lord. By my good fortune, thou hast been seen by me. Make my intellect capable of creating the worlds soon. Thou whose innumerable excellences were sung by Brahma, thus deign to protect me. Here again, Bhattatripad details the vision of the Brahma and says that also kindly protect me. These two things are mentioned here. Now the praise of the Lord by Brahma in chapter 8 of the Tritiya Skanda of the Bhagavata is condensed here. This entire verse is praising the Lord. After seeing his form and his glory, Brahma could not stop himself and spontaneously he praised the Lord. The praise the Lord means bringing out the glory of the Lord and enjoying that glory within himself. That's how it should be understood. In this, the Lord is addressed in various ways. One is as Prabhu, another has Harihi, third has Shripatihi. All these three words have different connotations, and we will have a look at it in the Vishnu Sahasranama, how it is defined here. The word Prabhu, which is coming as the verse number 35 in the Vishnu Sahasranama. It says, the one who has unsurpassed skill, sarvasu kriyasu samartya atishayavan prabhu. Sarvasu kriyasu samartya atishayavan prabhu. That's what is defined in that. Shankaracharya has given the explanation. The one who has unsurpassed skill in all actions is called a prabhu. So Ishvara is that prabhu. He has the samartya, the capacity to create, sustain and dissolve this jagat without requiring the help of anything else or anyone else also. There is excellence in his capacity. He is almighty and absolutely capable, and there is nothing that he cannot do. The Brahma is addressing as Prabhu because Brahma is invoking that power from Ishvara to create. That's how it is to be understood here. The word Prabhu also is mentioned in verse number in Vishwasnama in the 299th Nama as Prakarshena Bhavati iti Prabhu, the one who exists with eminence. That means, how does he give all this? Because he is the Prabhu. He is able to give all the objects of desire because everything is with him. He exists surpassing all, and hence he is Prabhu. Thus, Bhagavan is the Kama, desire, and also the object of desire. He alone is the Kama Krit, the inducer of desire, and the Kama Prada, the giver of the desirables. Kamaha, the destroyer of desires. So it's the Kama Krit, Kama Pradaha, Kamaha. Hence he is the Prabhu, that who gives all this. That's how this is defined by Shankara in verse number 299, in Nama 299 of Vishnu Sahasranama. The word Harihi is also covered in verse number, in Nama number 650 of Vishnu Sahasranama. Harihi means the one who removes samsara. Sahetuka samsara harati iti harihi. Harati iti harihi. The Lord is called Hari because he removes. What does he remove? When invoked by proper actions, he removes all our papas. He removes also the samsara along with its cause, that is self-ignorance. It is because of his grace that one is taken to the teacher and the teaching. Thereby one gains knowledge, and this knowledge removes the ignorance and thereby totally the samsara. Hence Bhagavan is called Hari. So Harati. So he removes ignorance, he removes our papas. Unless the papas are removed, we would not be able to gain that knowledge. That is why the word Hari includes both. That is Harihi. Incidentally, we can also say that Lord Shiva also is called Araha. Sarvan Papan Harati. Therefore, there also the word Shiva is also Haraha. So Harihi and Haraha represent both only the same attribute, but the forms are different. So Shiva and Vishnu both represent the same. That's how the identity is mentioned here. Harihi Araha. So the Harihara, the son of Harihara is Dharmashastra, which we will be seeing the later the shakas of Narayaniyam. So these are the word Harihi is covered. And there is one more address made of Sri Patihi. Verse number, Nama number 603 of the Vishnu Sahasranama. The word Sri Patihi means the Lord of Sri. Srihi Para Shaktihi Tasyaha Patiriti Sri Patihi. He is the Lord of Lakshmi, and he is also a Lord because of Lakshmi. She is Parashakti, meaning all Shakti is put together. Without Shakti, there is no Lord. Without the Lord, there is no Shakti. In our culture, there is no Pati without Patni and no Patni without Pati. That is brought out here. He is picturized as the husband of Sri, that is Lakshmi. The Purana says that God Lakshmi came out of the milky ocean when it was churned and chose him among others as her Pati. So she was Lord, her Sripati. Lakshmi herself chose the Lord Vishnu. That's how the Purana says. The Sripati is very, very significant term. We'll continue this in the next session. Bhave bhave yatha bhaktihi padayostav jayate tata kurusha devesha natastvam no yada prabhu nama sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranasanam pranamo dukkha samanaha tam namami harim prabham harim param narayana akila guru bhagavan namaste hariyu ya devi stuyade nityam vibudhair veda paragaihi सामे वसज्जिह्वाग्रे ब्रह्मरूपा सरस्वती नमामि नारायण पादपङ्कजं Karomi Narayana Pujanam Sada, Vadami Narayana Namadharmalam, Smarami Narayana Tattvam Avyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Ayappan, Mahaperiva and Guru Parampara, we are now continuing our discussion on the second 9, verse number 7. The last session, in verse number 7, it was mentioned that Brahma was singing the praise of Lord in terms of addressing him as Prabhu, Hari, Sripati. All these three names, the connotations we saw in the Vishnu Sahasranama. As a side note, the word Sripati also can be seen from the Advaitic standpoint as Brahman reflected in Maya is Ishvara. Therefore, the Maya is the medium through which the Brahman gets reflected, and Ishvara becomes therefore the Maya Pradipimba Chaitanya. And therefore, without Maya, the Pradipimba Chaitanyam cannot exist. Exactly like when you stand before a mirror, the original image of yours get reflected through the medium of mirror. If you remove the mirror, there is no reflected image. Similarly here also, Pradipimba Chaitanyam is because of the Maya medium. The original Brahman gets reflected through the medium of Maya. And therefore, Maya is the one which is inseparable from the Ishvara. It should be very clearly understood. Ishvara is the Lord of Maya, Pati of Maya. Because Maya is nothing but the Saguna aspect which is required for creation. No creation is possible without Maya. Words are used like Maya is the Shakti for Ishvara, because it cannot be understood that the Ishvara derives Shakti from Maya. It only means that Maya is inseparable from Ishvara, and therefore Ishvara is called Mayavi. So the whole creation is manifested through Maya, and therefore from Maya aspect, the Ishvara is called Parinami Upadana Karana, means the one for whom the Maya, which is in terms of names and form, Parinami, is the material, is the cause. And from the Pratibimba Chaitanya angle, Ishvara becomes the Nimitta Karana, the intelligent cause. Both cannot be separated. That is how it is said. Therefore we say Sripatihi could be also seen as Sri represents the Maya, which is the basis for creation in terms of names and forms, and the Lord is the one who creates using Maya as the Shakti. Maya is under the control of Ishvara. Since they are inseparable, we also see also that Ishvara is also addressed as Srinivasa, as Rama is Janaki Rama, we see. So Lakshmi Patehe, Lakshmi Narayana, all these names, where the name of the goddess comes before the order, and we understand this is addressed to Ishvara. They are inseparable. Even when we address Jivas, when you give the names like Janaki Rama, Lakshmi Narayana, etc., the same connotation implies. So it should be understood in this manner also, that Sripati also is Mayapati or Mayavi Ishvara. This has to be also given as a connotation. Then we can also see here, one more word is used here is that we can also see it also symbolically presented in the Puranas as Maya resides, Sri Lakshmi resides in the Vakshasthala of Vishnu. The Lord Shiva is Ardhanarishvara, offside is Shiva of his Shakti, whereas in the case of Brahma, the Saraswati is residing in the tongue. She is the Vak Devi. These are all symbolical representation saying that Ishvara, Maya or Lakshmi, Ishvara and God and Goddess cannot be separated. Vishnu cannot be separated from the Lakshmi. So therefore the address here is as Lakshmi Patehe. This can be understood that way. And one more mention made here as the whose abundant glory has been described in the numeric Vedic text. It is mentioned the Shruti Prakara Darshitaha. Vedic text here represents both the Karma Kanda, the Samhita aspect, which chants about the glory of the Ishvara, also the Upanishads, which also describe the glory of the Ishvara. In both, this is mentioned about that Ishvara the glory is mentioned in the Puram. We have a Narayana Sukta, Vishnu Sukta, which talks about the glory of the Narayana. Narayana Brahma Tattva Narayana Paraha, Narayana Paro Dhyanam Narayana Paraha, like that is described. Andar Bahicha Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha, like that is mentioned. In Upanishad also it's talked about Sarvam Kalvitam Brahma, Neha Nanasti Kinchana. Kathopanishad makes that. What is there is only the Brahman. There is no other thing. All other things reside on him. So the glory of the Ishvara is sung. And that also has been added in this verse, that your glory has been described. In this way, when the glory of Ishvara is described by the Lord Brahman in all aspects, from various angles, he gains, when he sings these graces, he makes a prayer to the Lord, saying that you make my intellect capable of creating the world soon. We have already seen earlier also that Brahma has prayed to the Lord to give that knowledge for both creation as well as for understanding the Advaitic, non-dual aspect of himself. This was mentioned here. So the same thing is repeated here also, that Brahma says that give me the knowledge, give me the intellect through which I can create the world by your grace. So the stuti which Brahma does is for invoking the anugraha of the Ishvara. This has to be seen in this way. Brahma is fortunate to have the vision of Vishnu. He prays to the Lord for giving that vision, for creating for the purpose of creation. We will now move on to the verse number 8. Labasva bhuvanattrayi rachana dakshatamakshataam grihana madanugraham kurutapascha bhuyo vidhe bhavatvakila sadhani maicha bhaktiratyutkateti utiryagira madhada mudita chetasam vedasam labasva bhuvanattrayi rachana dakshatamakshataam grihana madanugraham kurutapascha bhuyo vidhe bhavatvakila sadhani maicha bhaktiratyutkateti utiryagira madhada mudita chetasam vedasam. He vidhe, O Brahma, akshatam, never diminishing, bhuvanatrayi rachana dakshatam, ability to create the three worlds, labasva, may you have, madanugraham grihana, have my blessings, tapah cha bhuyaha kuru, do penance again, akhila sadhani, which can accomplish anything, Mayi bhaktihi cha, devotion to me also, atyutkatha bhavatu, may it become intense, iti giram udirya, saying these words, vedasam Brahma, mudita chedasam adadaha, thou did make me very happy. Thou did Brahma make Brahma very happy by telling him, O Brahma, may you have never diminishing ability to create the three worlds. Have my blessing, do penance again, may your devotion to me, which can accomplish anything, become intense. This is the literal meaning of this verse. Now, before going to the Bhavartha, one more thing which struck me. This word pati, which is used, a Sanskrit word, it's got a religious connotation. Normally, husband is called Bharta, wife is called Bharya, but we use the word pati and patni. The word pati also stands for the husband. Patni, the Sutrakara says, patyurno yajna samyoge. That nakara is added so that the patni, she becomes patni when she assists the pati in performing the yajna. Those days the Vedic Agni fire was considered to be the god, and the yajnas were in the form of Agnihotras, and therefore here mention of yajna. Yajna also could be entered as the puja also. Yaj sevayam is there. Therefore, even puja. That means one who assists or who is united with the husband in performing various pujas and rituals, who helps the husband, then he becomes the patni, patyurno yajna samyoge. That is why pati and patni go together. Even in Ramayana, Janaka says, Iyam Sita Mamsuta Saha Dharmacharitava Pradikshachena Badramte Paningranisha Paninathan says, Pativrada Mahabhaga Chayeva Anukatha. He says that my daughter Sita will help you in performing all dharmic acts. She will follow you like a shadow, so that she will be a dharma patni. That's why we use the word dharma patni. So the importance of pati patni also is there, given also in our shastra, even for us also, that both go together in invoking the grace of the Lord. Now we go on to the verse number 8. Here the three worlds are addressed. It says that never diminishing ability to create the three worlds. Three worlds, we have already seen earlier that 14 worlds were created through Brahma by Ishvara in the Satyaloka, and those 14 worlds also can be summarized under the three aspects as Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. The Bhu could be considered as the nether world, Bhuvaha is the Prithvi, and Suvaha as above Prithvi, all Suvaha, Mahatabha, the 6 worlds. So the 7 worlds is Bhuhu, the Bhuvaha is the earth, and Suvaha is the remaining worlds. 6 plus 1, remaining 7 worlds above also. We can see that also 7 plus 1, 8, and 6 worlds above comes the Suvaha. It can be interpreted that way also. The Akshatam word is used the word Anaswaraha. That means which does not diminish. Because for creation, it is necessary that the Shakti should be a Purna Shakti. That's why he says it should be without any diminishing. You must give me the never diminishing ability. Purnatvam is required to create the worlds. Therefore, the Brahmaji asked for the never diminishing Kriti. Now, then Ishvara says that you do further penance again. I am pleased with your dhyanam, but you do further penance again, and then may your devotion become more intense. The significance of this is that we have seen earlier that Brahma could not locate the source of the lotus by his own effort. He therefore meditated on the Lord, surrendering the ahankara to Lord, as it were. So the antakarna became pure. When he did this prayer, the antakarna became pure. And Lord manifested before him thereafter, and then blessed him. So from this it should be inferred that to achieve anything even in life, one should be free from ahankara, intense devotion, and tapas. These 3 things become very important. Mind becomes pure only when it is free from ahankara and mamakara. The Chaitanya or the effulgence of the Lord will be there, will be fully manifest only when one does tapas. And therefore, for creation, Lord Vishnu wanted Brahmaji to do further tapas so that he gains more power and full knowledge for creation. So one gains unconditional love towards God and also detachment from worldly things and broad intellect, which would be required for gaining the anugraha of Ishvara. Welfare of all beings is necessary in the creation process. So even Valmiki, there is a story there. Valmiki was a Chandala or something, and then he became a poet, he became a rishi after tapas, after getting the anugraha of the Lord Vishnu. He performed tapas. So Brahma, after seeing the Lord, he was overjoyed and full of contentment, and Lord asked him to do tapas again. This is how the verse goes. We'll move into the verse number 9 in the next session. Bhave yada bhaktihi padayostava jayate tata kurusha devesha natastvam no yata prabhu nama sankirtan yasya sarva bhava pranasanam Pranamo Dukkhasamanaha Tam Namami Harim Param Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Hariyo. Ya Devi Stuyade Nityam Vibhudair Deva Paragaihi Veda Paragaihi Same Vasati Jihvagre Brahma Rupa Saraswati Namami Narayana Padapangajam Karumi Narayana Pujanam Sada Vadami Narayana Namanirmalam Smarami Narayana Tattvamabhyayam. Invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, Guru Vairappan, Mahaperiyava and Guru Parampara. We are now in Dashakam 9, entering into verse number 9. We will read the verse first. Shatam kritatapastata sakalu divya samvatsaran avapya chatapobalam matibalam cha purvadikam udikshya kilakampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavad bhala vijrampitaha pavanapathasi pitavan. Shatam kritatapastata sakalu divya samvatsaran avapya cha tapobalam matibalam cha purvadhikam udikshya kilakampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavat bhala vijrampitaha pavanapatasi pitavan. Tataha, then Saha Kalu, he means Brahma, indeed, Shatam Divya Samvatsaran, for 100 divine years, Krita Tapaha, having meditated, Purvadikam, more than before, Tapobalam Matibalam Cha, spiritual power and mental power, or we can say also intelligence also. Avapya, getting, Pankajam, the lotus, Payasi, in the waters, Vayuna Kampitam, shaken by the wind, Udikshakila, seeing indeed, Bhavad Bala Vijrampitaha, strengthened by thee, who are strength itself, Pavana Patasi, the wind and the water, Pitavan, drank up or consumed. Then Brahma, having meditated for 100 years and getting more spiritual and mental power than before, saw the lotus being swayed or shaken by the wind in the waters of the ocean or Karanajala, and strengthened by thee, who are strength itself, drank up the wind and the water. This is the literal translation. We will go into the meaning of it a little more detail. Here Brahmaji, after 100 years of austerity, mentioned as gained extraordinary infinite powers and also intelligence. After looking at the lotus which is resting in the causal water and swayed by the wind, with the powers infused in him by the Lord, he grew in size and drank up the water and consumed the wind. This how it can be summarized also. Now, symbolically, this verse also talks about the glory of the tapas also. Tapas is inward sadhana, with which one gains ekagrata or single-pointed concentration, which enables the antakarana or the mind and intellect, etc., to fully gain absorption or laya with the infinite. Both the inner world mandalam, we call them mandalam, antamandalam, and outer world bahir mandalam merge with the one infinite power, and then it becomes the nucleus for infinite siddhis or extraordinary powers, which has been also projected here as Brahma through tapas gained these infinite powers because he grew in strength and he consumed the water and the wind. Now the lotus represents the source of the universe, and this lotus is resting in the Karana Jala. This Karana Jala symbolizes the infinite consciousness and also its effulgence, we can say also. And the Vayu is the prana shakti, or we call it cosmic energy, which again derives its power from the consciousness itself, which is the causal waters here. Now the lotus is shaken by the wind, means that the shaking by the wind means the prana shakti is infused into the lotus. Brahma is sitting on that, and this prana shakti has come from the consciousness itself, and it is presented here as Brahma consumed the water and wind. It only symbolically means that Brahma grew, it was mentioned earlier, and he gained extraordinary powers or strength of the wind. Vayu is the strength of the wind power of the prana shakti is talked about, and also the effulgence of the consciousness, which is represented through the water or the causal water. So that's how the Brahma consumes. That means you require extraordinary power and also the knowledge and the brilliance to create. And that is what is represented as Brahma got this power. And how did he get? Well, the source of all this is the Lord himself, the grace. By Ishvara's grace, he is the one which gave strength to the Brahmaji for creation. And without Ishvara's grace, no creation can take place. That's how indirectly is also mentioned here. This in short is the significance of this verse. We will now move into verse number 10. Tavaiva kripaya punas sarasijena tenaiva saha prakalpya bhuvanatrayim prabhavrite prajanirmitau tatha vita kripa bharo gurumarut puradhishvara tvamashu paripahi mam gurudayokshitairikshitaihi tabaiva kripaya punaha sarasijena tenaiva saha prakalpya bhuvanatrayim prabhavrite prajanirmitau tadhavida kripa bharo gurumarut puradhishvara tvamashu paripahi mam gurudayokshitairikshitaihi. Punaha saha, then he, the saha here means Brahma. Tava kripaya eva, by thy grace alone. Tena sarasijena eva, out of that lotus itself. Bhuvanatrayim prakalpya, creating the three worlds. Praja nirmitau, in creating various kinds of beings. Pravavrite, engaged himself. He Guru Marut Puradishvara, O Lord of Guruvayur. Marut means Vayu here. Tatavida Kripa Bharvahatvam, thou who are full of such compassion. Guru Dayokshitaihi, filled with or moistened with deep compassion. Ikshitaihi, by glances. Ashumam paripahi, protect me quickly. Ashu means quickly. Then, by thy grace alone, Brahma created the three worlds out of that lotus itself, and then engaged himself in the task of creating various kinds of beings. O Lord of Guruvayur, thou who are full of such compassion, kindly grace me, protect me quickly with thy glances overflowing with deep compassion. The Lord here is addressed here as Guru Marut Puradisha. Guru means also Brihaspati and also knowledge. So Brihaspati symbolizes the knowledge and Marut is Vayu is the prana. So Paramatma Guruvayurappan represents both the source of knowledge as well as the cosmic energy, the prana, which is earlier also, or tejas or brilliance. Lotus is symbolizes the source of the universe, and with the power of the universe, with the consciousness, the blossomed lotus represents the universe itself manifested. So it represents both. The lotus, unblossomed, is the source, and the blossomed lotus is the universe itself, we can say. So out of the lotus, we can say the universe which is pervaded. Now this universe is pervaded by consciousness, we have to understand, because Brahman is the only Parabrahman is the only source, which is the cause, Karana, and the Karya also, which is pervading the universe. Without Brahman or Ishvara, there is no universe, and Brahman is the source. We can see also. Now the universe also we can see also in its infinite names and forms represent the creation. Now here we can see one more thing. We already seen that the causal water represents the limitlessness, etc. And universe also represents therefore the limitless forms and names. An imagery drawn in terms of Kundalini Yoga Shastra, we can say this lotus bread represents the Sushumna Nadi, and the blossom lotus symbolizes the Sahasrara center, where the infinite consciousness manifests in the form of a universe, and where is the unity of the also the Jiva with the Ishvara also is there. Hence, lotus can be seen as the center for residence of Srishti Shakti. It could be inferred here that Brahma, using the lotus or lotus itself, started the creation. The reference is made about the Brahmaji creating the world of he created the three worlds it is talked about. The three worlds comprise the 14 worlds mentioned here. We can say that broadly we can group them as Bhuhu, then the nether world below, Atala, Sutala, Vitala, Satala, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala, and also the world above Bhu, which can be called as the Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, etc. 6 worlds above, 1 Bhumi, and 7 worlds below, nether world. That is being talked about as the 3 worlds summarized here. And it is here Bhattatripad makes a prayer to the Lord. We are to understand that Bhattatripad also was astounded by the powers of and compassion of the Lord Guru Ayappan. So invoking his grace, he prayed to the Lord, also free me from both bodily ailments and mental sorrows, and make me capable of gaining the lotus feet or Parampadam of the Lord. How it is possible? He says that by your glance, because your glance itself is a Karuna Nidhi, a source of Karuna, deep compassion. It is deep, and he says it is wetted with waters, means full of compassion. Moistened is the word actually. Moistened here represents the deep compassion he's talking about. The Lord melts when the devotee's devotion is total, and totally when the devotee surrenders. So here also the Bhattatripad surrenders to the Lord and seeks his grace for relieving himself of all the ailments. So he is seeking the compassion of the Ishvara. That's how it is talked about. With this we conclude the Dasaka 9 of this, comprising 10 verses. Now this Dasaka 9, if you want to have a reference with the Bhagavatam, it is contained in a summarized version of Tritiya Skanda, chapter 8, verse number 16 to chapter 9. So Bhagavata Tritiya Skanda, chapter 8, verse 16 to chapter 9. And verse 9 is summarized in this Dasaka. Bhave bhave yada bhaktihi padayo stava jayate tata gurushva devesha natastam noita prabhu nama sankirtan vyasya sarva bhava pranasanam pranamo dukkha samanaha tam namami harim param narayana akila guru bhagavan namaste. Hari
Jivanasparanam Govinda Govinda.